now. That was pretty good. I went through the whole thing and forgot to turn the little lavalier mic on. I sit there and charge it all night, hoping it has charge on it, and I start the video and forget to click the button to turn it on. Isn't that something? You always forget the little things. It's the little things that make that. All right, so Cleveland and Texas, not exactly the marquee matchup, but it's on the schedule, so we play it. That's how we roll. Two right-handers, Phil Niekro and Greg Harris. We'll look at Niekro in the bottom of the first. Right now, we're going to focus on Greg Harris. And Greg Harris on the replay is, well, in real world, actually, is 5-10 with a 4.86 ERA. And on the replay for Greg Harris, he checks in 4-3 with a 3.67 ERA. So significantly better in the replay. 83 innings hit, 76 hits, 39 walks, 64 strikeouts. So pretty good numbers there for Greg Harris. Oddly enough, his wild pitch and balk are both the same at 6. He is a -1 hold, but Mike Stanley's a +3 arm, which makes him a +2 overall. And of course, Mike Stanley has 17 pass ball rating. That's something to keep an eye on as well. All right, so Texas 36-47, Cleveland 32-52. Like I said, not a marquee matchup, but it is on the schedule. And an odd thing here for Cleveland, not used to seeing Brett Butler not lead off the game, but he's being given the day off today, or night off, depending on when they played this game. So they've moved Mel Hall up into the leadoff spot, and they put Joe Carter in center field defensively. Moved Pat Tabler from DH to first base and put Castillo in as the DH. That's the lineman or lineup adjustments that were made. Looking at Mel Hall on the replay, he is hitting 285, 12 homers, 39 driven in. He hit 280 in the actual season. Hello, Jim. And of course, before we get the first pitch in, we have the ceremonial first sip. That's mandatory. Got to have it. Hopefully this game will go much quicker than yesterday's game between the Yankees and the White Sox. That was a marathon. Not looking for that again today, hopefully. All right, so Mel Hall leading things off. Hello, Chuck. Tomorrow, Chuck, it'll be Cleveland. It'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow morning will be California and Detroit to finish out our week. All right, here's Mel Hall. 6'10", and that's a 1 for a triple. Anything else will be a double for Mel Hall. And that's a leadoff double for Mr. Mel Hall in the leadoff spot. Butler is on the roster. He's not injured. They're just giving him a game off. So he's certainly available for pinch hitting, defense, and whatnot. So here's Julio Franco. He's hitting 299 on the replay, 6 homers, 41 driven in. He hit 319 real world. It's a 4-3, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. Looking at Fletcher, 3E26. They were not holding Mel Hall on. 3E26 is the number for Fletcher. 3-14. We'll see what happens with that. 3-14 is a G2. 3-14 is a G2. And the error chance is E26, 12, 17, and 18. Has to avoid those numbers, and he does. So on a G2, runner at second base, you could try to advance if you wanted to. You can try to move Hall up. He runs at a 14. His running speed, 14 minus 4 is a 10, plus 3 is a 13. 1 to 13, he can make it to third. I think with nobody out, I think you're just going to keep him there. At second base, he's already in scoring position. There's no reason to gamble on something like that. So he will stay right where he is. And Franco is out of there. 1 away for Pat Tabler, first baseman. Tabler hitting 323 on the replay. 5 homers, 43 driven in. He at 307 real world. Five, and that is a ground ball to second. That will get the runner to third. So Hall will make it to third, but now there are 2 away for Mr. Joe Carter, the ultimate underperformer. Joe Carter. On the real season for Joe Carter, he had 32 home runs, 106 runs batted in, and he hit 264. On the replay, he's got 17 home runs, 38 runs batted in, and it's hitting 212. And this is in 344 at bats. So that's why I call him the ultimate underperformer. It is a clutch situation for Carter, and he loses some hits here, 1-9, 110. That's a 6-6, and he's going to walk. So Joe Carter will draw the free pass. First walk issued by Harris. And that'll move it over to Corey Snyder. Snyder hitting 241 on the replay, 18 homers, 42 driven in. He hit 236 real world. Let's see, does Joe Carter want to try to steal? See if he can get a lead. That's a 2, though, so it's a possible balk. Possible balk on Harris. His balk rating is a 6. No balk, but that means Carter can't go anywhere now. So Corey Snyder will step in. In the clutch for Snyder, he loses a couple hits, 1-9 and 110. 1-9, there you go. Right on cue. Let's take a look at it close up and personal. A 1-9 against right-handed pitching is a single, but you see the omega symbol, and that is the clutch result, which means he fails in the clutch, or as the Strat computer calls it, choking in the clutch. So the 1-9 would have been a single, but not with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. So instead is a pop out to short. And the Tribe come away empty-handed as Corey Snyder fails in his clutch at bat. Hello, good morning, Dr. D. So Snyder is out. Harris pitches around the mess. We go to the bottom of the first. It is Cleveland nothing, and the Texas Rangers coming to bat. And aged veteran knuckleballer Phil Niekro on the mound for the Tribe. In the 87 season, he was 7-13 with a 6.10 ERA. Until he was on his way out. On the replay, he's 3-9 with a 7.16 earned run average. 94 innings pitched, 119 hits, 50 walks, 44 strikeouts. So all his peripheral numbers are just terrible. More hits than innings pitched, more walks than strikeouts. That does not lead to success. So Jerry Brown, the governor, will lead things off for Texas. He's hitting 281 on the replay. 2 homers, 22 driven in. He hit 271 real world. Switch hitter. 5-3, and that's a fly ball right field extra. Looking at Corey Snyder. Snyder is a 2. 2 and a 5. I think he still gets to this. 2 and a 5. Yes, he does. But it's an E11. So an E11 for a right fielder, he's got to avoid 3, 4, 13, 15, 16, and 18. And 10 is just fine. So Corey Snyder will make the play. And Jerry Brown is out of there. 1 down. Taking us to Scott Fletcher, the shortstop. Fletcher hitting 305 on the replay, a homer and 44 driven in. He hit 287 real world. It's a 1-6 for Fletcher. He's going to ground it to Franco, 2 down. For Ruben Sierra. Sierra started the season like gangbusters. Has really cooled off so much that he's not even going to make the All-Star team. He's hitting 280 on the replay, 25 homers, 61 driven in. He hit 253 real world, or 263 real world, I guess it was 263. Yeah, 263. Yeah, I mean he's having a deep, really good year. 25 home runs, 61 runs batted in, but the outfield is so loaded, he's just not going to make it. So Charlie Huff is going to be the only All-Star representative from Texas. All right, here is Sierra. It's Niekro, 4-7, and that's a fly ball to left field. So 3 up, 3 down for Phil Niekro. How about that? Not going to see that happen very often, but it did. And at the end of 1 complete, no score from Arlington Stadium in Texas. So designated hitter Carmen Castillo up for the Cleveland Indians, and he hit 231, or he is hitting 231 on the replay. 5 homers, 14 driven in. He hit 250 real world. And he'll be followed by Jacoby and Bernazard. 2-6 for Castillo and struck him out. So Greg Harris gets his first strikeout of the ball game, and that's going to send us to Brooke Jacoby, third baseman. Jacoby, he's having a fine year, but not fine enough to be an all-star. 324 average, 19 homers, 55 driven in. He's right on the borderline, though. I'll have to double check that against my other guys. I don't remember if I had him listed as an all-star or not. I'll have to look at my little spreadsheet real quickly and see how I have him listed, or how I have the team listed, I guess would be the better way to say it. Where did it go here? There we go. Lineup. That's what I need. All right. So actually, Jacoby is an all-star. Jacoby will be on the all-star team. He and Wade Boggs will be the third baseman. Paul Molitor is elected to the all-star team, but he is currently injured and cannot play in the game, but he is an all-star selection. So Jacoby will take his place on the all-star roster, is the way that'll work. So he's an alternate to the all-star game. Good morning, Dan. Good to see you. All right, so Jacoby up. But yes, because of the injury to Molitor, Jacoby will be playing in the all-star. He will be elected to the team and be the backup third baseman to Wade Boggs. So here is Jacoby, 6'12", and that's a split. 1 to 14 is a single. 15 to 20, he lines it right to Scott Fletcher. And that's a base hit for Brooke Jacoby. So Jacoby with the base hit. Hello, Jeremiah. So Jacoby gets on first base, no threat to run, and that'll bring up Tony Bernazard, second baseman. Bernazard hitting 234 on the replay, 9 homers, 35 driven in. He hit 250 real world. 6'9", and that's going to be a 1 to 17 double, 18 to 20 single, 2 stars either way. And that'll be a double for Bernazard, puts runners at second and third with only 1 out. And the infield will come in for the bat of Chris Bando, catcher. Bando hitting 193 on the replay, 2 homers, 17 driven in. He hit 218 real world. Infield is in. That's a 2-6, and that's a fly ball center field B question mark. So it's potential. There's a potential for a sacrifice fly. Center fielder is McDowell. He does have a -1 arm. So Jacoby runs in an 11. On the B question mark, you add 2, makes it a 13, but then that -1 is a 12. Be a 60% chance to score him. The question is, do you think that Mel Hall has a 60% chance of driving home a run with 2 outs? Or do you take the 60% chance that is presented right here with Chris Bando? I think you kind of have to do the latter. So we're going to try for the sacrifice fly. He needs a 1 to 12 to get the sacrifice fly. Otherwise, it'll be a fly out, throw him out, double play. The 1 to 12, he's in there. And he is. So it's a sacrifice fly for Chris Bando. Jacoby will score, and Cleveland takes a 1-0 lead. Chris Bando gets his 18th run batted in on the replay, which he only had 16 real world. So despite not having a good year offensively and kind of mirroring what his card did, he does have more runs batted in. So here's Mel Hall, 2 outs. There is a clutch situation with Bernazard at second base. And Hall in the clutch actually is rated completely neutral. 3-8, and that's a ground ball to third base, and Mr. Buchel will take care of that in the inning, but the Tribe get on the board first. Sacrifice fly from Chris Bando. Gets that run across, and we go to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Cleveland. Niekro out. Will face O'Brien, Incaviglia, and Parrish for the Rangers. Pete O'Brien on the replay hitting 265, 18 homers, 47 driven in. He at 286 real world. That's a 4-9, and that's going to be a triple 1 to 5, double 6 to 20. And that is a 18, so that's going to end up being a double for Pete O'Brien, leadoff double. Pete O'Brien, that is his 15th double of the replay. He had 26 of them real world. And he's at second base to start the inning for Pete Incaviglia. That's a 2, possible balk or pass ball. We're looking at a balk chance on Niekro. His balk rating is a 9, but no balk. So that'll bring up Incaviglia. Incaviglia hitting 269 on the replay, 20 homers, 62 driven in. He hit 271 real world. 4-7, and that's a ground ball second base X. That'll at least get Brian at a bare minimum to third base. Second baseman Bernazar is a 4E22. 4 and a 16, he'll get to that. E22 at second base. He's got to avoid 12, 17, and 18, which he does. So it's a 4-3 ground out. So Incaviglia kind of playing small ball there, getting the runner over to the right, hitting the ball to the right side of the infield. Get that runner on second base over to third with less than 2 outs, which he did. Not sure if he intended to do that, just kind of worked out that way. And now here's the DH, Larry Parrish. Runner at third, 1 out. Cleveland's going to play the infield in. They did not want to give up a cheap run. Parrish, the DH. And he is hitting 258 on the replay. 13 homers, 39 driven in. He hit 268 real world. 6-5 for Niekro. That's a fly ball center field B. This one's not a question mark. It's an actual sacrifice fly. And we got a tie ball game. Both runs scoring on sacrifice flies to center field. I didn't have that one on my bingo card, but that's what it is. Parrish, RBI number 40 for him on the replay. We're tied at 1 apiece. Bases are empty now with 2 outs for Oddibe McDowell, center fielder. McDowell hitting 232 on the replay, 5 homers, 26 driven in. He hit 241 real world. 3-9 for McDowell, and that's a double 1-11, single 12-20. And that's a double for McDowell. He is in scoring position with 2 outs for Mike Stanley, the catcher. Stanley, in the clutch, will actually gain a hit on 1-4. Also gains one on 2-9 and gains 2 more, 3-10, 3-11. So a good clutch hitter for Stanley. Although he is struggling on the replay. On the replay, Stanley's only hitting 212, 3 homers, 12 driven in, but he did hit 273 real world. That's a 1-7, and he's going to strike out to end the inning. First strikeout for Niekro. But the Rangers tie the score at 1. Matching sacrifice flies to center field are the tool used to bring home the run. And after the end of 2 innings of play, we're tied at 1 apiece. And Greg Harris back out. He'll be facing Franco, Tabler, and Carter for the Tribe. That is a 6-6, and that's a base on balls. That is the second walk issued by Harris. And now Franco's looking to run. In order to get a good lead, he needs a 2 through 5. 2, 3, 4, or 5. Oh, he gets a 12. That's not going to work, so he holds. And here is Pat Tabler. 5-7, and that is a 1-6 double. 7-20 for a single, 2 stars either way. That is a single, 2 stars. That'll put runners on the corners with nobody out. And Harrison in a bind. Joe Carter coming up. Infield playing for a double play to try to minimize the damage. 211 for Carter. That's a ballpark single check. Everything ballpark related is an 11. That's the only number needed to remember is an 11. It goes for everybody. Left, right, home run, single, everything. 1 to 11. And it's a base hit for Joe Carter. RBI single. Tabler stops at second, but Franco scores and Cleveland regains the lead 2-1. RBI number 39 for Joe Carter. First and second, nobody out for Corey Snyder. Harris could use a double play ball right about now. 111. It's a fly ball to right, and that is 1 away. That'll send us to Carmen Castillo, designated hitter. Strikeout victim, his first chance. 2-7, and he's going to strike out once more. So Harris has 2 strikeouts. He's gotten Castillo both times. And now it's a clutch situation for Brooke Jacoby. Jacoby in the clutch. Loses a couple of hits, 2-6 and 2-7. Also 3-5. Hit 5-11. That's a fly ball left field. Actually, we're looking at Pete Incaviglia. He's a 4.16. 4-12. Going to be iffy. 4-12 is iffy. 4-12 is an F1. That's good enough to make the play. The question is, will there be an error? He is an E16. So he has to avoid 4, 6, 12, 13, and 17. And a 6 is going to be an error on Incaviglia. Look at it, E16, and a 6 is a 1-base error on Incaviglia. And that will load the bases. E7 is going to keep the inning going and load the bases. Which is a little bit unrealistic when you think about the game situation, because with 2 outs, the runners will be going on contact. And if he dropped the ball or whatever, you know they would have scored. But it's just the way it's written in the error charts. So we'll just call it bad base running by the Cleveland base runners. Now it's bases loaded, 2 outs. Tony Bernazard, he had a double his first time up. Bernazard in the clutch will lose some hits, though. 110, 2-9, and 210. Also 312. A lot of hits being lost. 4-9, though, is going to be a walk, and that's going to load the base. No, it's going to force in a run, actually. So an unearned run comes in on the bases loaded walk, and the bases remain loaded for Chris Bando, but an RBI walk for Tony Bernazard puts Cleveland ahead 3-1. And now Chris Bando, the batter, sacrifice fly his first time up. In the clutch, he does lose a hit on 2-5 and 2-9. 4-9, though, and we got a walk again. So back-to-back base on balls by Harris. Forces in another run. Same roll twice in a row, 4-9. And now the 9th man to bat in the inning, Mel Hall, will step to the plate. 3 runs in, clutch situation for Hall. In the clutch, he is actually rated neutral. That's a 1, so it's potential wild pitch on Greg Harris. He's a 6. No wild pitch. So Hall will stand in there with the bases loaded and 2 outs and 3 runs already in. 4-1 Cleveland, looking for more. 3-10, and that's a ground ball back to Harris to end the inning. So it is a 3-run inning. That's actually the least amount of runs you can have when you bat around. So Cleveland did the minimum. But they put 3 runs on the board, take a 4-1 lead, and turn that lead over to Phil Niekro, hoping he can hold it. But we have our doubts because Phil Niekro is not a good pitcher. But if he gets the dice rolls his way, anything is liable to happen. Steve Buechele leads off for Texas. Buechele hitting 222 on the replay, 7 homers, 31 driven in. He hit 237 real world. That is a 6-11 off of Niekro. That's a ballpark blast. So 1-11, and he does have normal power. 1-11, Buechele goes deep for his 8th home run of the replay. That's a 20, though. It'll be a deep fly to left. So couldn't quite get all of it. And Mel Hall makes the catch in left field at the track. 1 down for Jerry Brown. 4-11 for Brown. That's a ballpark single. So right back to the 11 number. And that's a base hit for Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown with the base hit. And down by 3, I think they're going to hold Brown at first base and not send him anywhere. Cleveland will hold him 1, but he's not going to try to steal or try for any leads or anything. Here is Scott Fletcher. That's a 1-7, and that is a ground ball shortstop A. It's a Giovanni's Taylor shop. Tailor-made double play. Just what the doctor ordered. Let's take a look at this up close and personal. A 1-7 for Scott Fletcher against the righty. It's ground ball shortstop A. The plus sign, they weren't, the infield was not in, so there's no relevance there. It is a 6-4-3 double play, tailor-made double play, sponsored by Giovanni's Tailor Shop in Lemoyne, Pennsylvania. If you're in that area and you have tailoring needs, be sure to stop by and see them. Tell them Demo sent you. They'll give you a discount. They're the unofficial sponsor of the channel, but the official sponsor of the Giovanni's Tailor Shop tailor-made double play of the game. 6 for 6 for Carew. Cool. 73. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what he hit in 73, but I don't care what year it was for Carew. You know he's a good hitter. He's going to hit. So was that Strat-O-Matic, Jeremiah, or was that a different game? Because Strat-O-Matic, you never, I mean, the 50-50. So if Carew gets results off the pitcher card, he may not have as good of a chance. What does they say? It's supposed to even out in the end. All right. So Julio Franco, Strat-O-Matic. Okay, thank you. Julio Franco will lead things off. He led off the last inning with a walk that seemed innocent enough, but there were 3 walks in the inning that, and 2 of them brought in runs, which because of the E7 means both of those runs were unearned. So 2 out of the 3 runs were unearned, but they still count. Franco, 2-5, and that is a ground ball to third, where Bouchel makes the play. 1 down. All right, something got mixed up on my computer because it's telling me Mel Hall's batting, and I know that's not correct because he made the last out last time. So let's see where I might have done a snafu on the computer here. I'm getting this right. Let's see, ground out. Oh, see, you know what it is? I forgot to put in the walk for Bando. So let me go back and fix all this. It won't take very long. When Bando walked with the bases loaded, I forgot to put it in the computer, and that it assigned him the ground out that really belonged to Hall. And that can happen when you're trying to play, stream, and input the game at the same time. You can forget to put something in, and this is what happens. So again, thank goodness for the undo button, undo last play button. And it's not just one last play. You can keep going back for last plays. That's the good part. You can go back and undo the whole game if you wanted to. I mean, if you needed to. All right, so we're back to the Mel Hall at bat. So I'm going to ground him out. Now we can do Texas really quick. Bouchel flies to left. We'll be back in no time here. Brown with a single. And then the ground ball double play by Fletcher. Should get us where we need to be. And it does. So Franco grounds to third to start the inning. And now we're back on schedule for Pat Tabler. That is a 4-8 against Harris, and that's a ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Fletcher, 3E26. 3 and a 4, that's going to probably get through for a base hit if I had to guess. And it is. 3 and a 4 is a single. So base hit for Tabler. He's 2 for 3. Checking the error, he's an E26. Got to avoid 12, 17, and 18, which he does with a 15. So just a hit, no error. And here comes Joe Carter. Maybe he's going to make a second half surge. That's a 6-6, and that's a walk. So Joe Carter walks for the second time. That is the 5th walk issued by Greg Harris. He has just not been on his game in this one. First and second, 1 out for Corey Snyder. 6-12, and that's a split. 1 to 14 is a single that will load the bases. 15 to 20, he lines it to Fletcher. And that's a 15, so Fletcher will snag it, 2 down. Snyder is out of there, and it's up to Carmen Castillo, who has struck out twice, and he's now in a clutch situation. Try to extend this lead for Cleveland. Clutch situation for Castillo against right-handers. He will lose a hit on 3-2. He gets a 3-9 instead, which is a 1-4 single. 5-20, he lines out. And that's another line out to Fletcher to end the inning. So Harris pitches around that. Would go to the bottom of the fourth. Still a 4-1 Cleveland lead. And Phil Niekro hanging on. He'll be facing Sierra, O'Brien, and Incavilla. Heart of the order for Texas. Ruben Sierra. 1-7 for Sierra. That's a strikeout. Second strikeout for Niekro. I'll bring up Pete O'Brien. 3-7. 3-7 for O'Brien. Applied at center field. 2 down. So 2 up and 2 down for Pete Incavilla. 6-7, and that's a walk. So a 2-out walk to Incavilla. That is the first walk issued by Niekro. Incavilla, he's going to try to get a lead. If he can get a 6, he can get a 17. That would be a pretty good chance to steal. He needs a 6 to get the lead. Doesn't get it, so it doesn't matter. So here's Larry Parrish. $4-9 for Parrish. That's a 1-5 triple. 6-20 is a double. Parrish had 1 triple real world. He hasn't had any in the replay yet, so it would certainly be a valid triple if he gets it. 1-5. Doesn't get it. It's a double to center field. Joe Carter is the center fielder. He does have a -1 arm. Incavilla is a 10. Not being held is an 11. 2 outs makes him a 13. -1 from Carter is a 12. So back to the same way with a sacrifice fly. Does Stanley have a 60%, or does McDowell have a 60% chance of driving him in? Probably not. So 1-12, and he will score on the double. And he's thrown out by Joe Carter and Julio Franco. So they had a nice relay there, 8-6-2, and they're going to get Incavilla at the plate. So a double, and Incavilla is out of there, 8-6-2. If you're scoring at home, you know you should be. Nice play there from Carter to get it quickly to Franco, and then Bando put on the tag. And that keeps Rangers off the board for that inning. And Niekro is appreciative. Go to the fifth, it's still 4-1. But I think, like I said, 1-12, 60% chance. Do you really think McDowell has a 60% chance of bringing home the run on his own? Probably not. So that's why you send him, but sometimes it doesn't work. Here's Brooks Jacoby. 1-6 for Jacoby, and that's another. I'm sorry, I looked up here. 1-6. That's a home run. 1-7. Double 8-20, and that is gone. Brooks Jacoby, his 20th home run of the replay, showing why he is an all-star. Well, he's an all-star because Paul Molitor's hurt. That's why he's an all-star. But showing behind Wade Boggs and Paul Molitor that he is the third best third baseman in the league. So home run number 20, RBI number 56 for Jacoby, and the Tribe lead it 5-1. Here's Tony Bernazard. 5-7 against the switch hitter. 1-13 is a single. 14-20, he lines out to Brown. And that's a 13. It's going to sneak through. Base hit Tony Bernazard. He's 2 for 2 with a walk as well. And now Bernazard. Does he go anywhere? No, I think he's going to stay where he is. So here's Chris Bando, the catcher. The 5-8, and that's a fly ball to right field for the first out of the inning. 1 down, but we're back to the top of the order for Mel Hall. He's 1 for 3 with a double. Oh, that got hung up there. Let's redo that one. That one red die didn't want to come down the chute. 4-11, left-hander. Ground ball first base, X. They were holding Bernazard on, so O'Brien now becomes a 3E12 because he was responsible for holding him on. So he's a 3E12. 3-11. I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not. 3-11 is a G2. Well, 2-11 would have been a double play, but they were holding Bernazard on, kind of had to. So it's a fielder's choice chance. And his error rating is an E12, which means he has to avoid 3, 6, 9, 15, and 18. That's a 15, so that'll be in there. They won't not forget the double play. They're not going to get anybody out the way it turns out. As O'Brien E12 and a 15, right there, a one base error. So everybody's going to be safe. It'd be first and second with one out. That is the second error by the Rangers. They just had a sloppy game so far. And particularly for Pete O'Brien, who's not usually one to make a lot of errors, but he certainly did there. First and second, one out for Julio Franco. 4-6, and that's another walk for Greg Harris. That's his 6th walk of the game. And now the Texas bullpen starting to stir. Pat Tabler, the batter, he used to be known as Mr. Bases Loaded, I think. He had a propensity for doing very well with the bases loaded. And that's where he finds himself right now. Bases loaded, one out. Infield is playing for a double play. That is a 2-9. And that's a single 1-3, but anything else 4-20, they line it to Fletcher. And that's a liner to Fletcher, so everybody will stay where they are. Now there's 2 away. And Mr. You-know-who is up to the plate, Mr. Joe Carter. Although he's reached twice on walks, he's also singled. No place to put him. Bases are full of Cleveland base runners. That's a 1, so it's potential wild pitch on Harris. He's a 6. No wild pitch, it's blocked. So nice job there by Stanley to block that. And now it's Joe Carter in the clutch where he loses a couple of hits, 1-9 and 1-10. That is a 1-8 though, and that's going to be a single 1-16. Line out 17-20. And that's a base hit for Joe Carter. That'll score Bernazard from third. It's a 1-star single, so everybody moves up 90 feet. But Cleveland now takes a 6-1 lead. And Corey Snyder, the batter. Look at the Texas bullpen, because I think that's going to be it for Greg Harris. He can't get out of the inning. And we'll go to the Texas bullpen, see who has the freshest arm. Might be Jeff Russell. They also brought on a new pitcher, but I don't have a card for him, Keith Creel. C-R-E-E-L. Creel, how do you pronounce it? Keith Creel, maybe? He only pitched 10 innings real world. So if I use him, I will just have to go by the image on his card. But I really wouldn't want to use him till the very end. So let's check at Jeff Russell here. Oh yeah, Jeff Russell can use some work. So we're going to bring in Jeff Russell. He will come in for Harris. Harris is only going to go 4 2/3. And he ran into all kinds of problems with the base on balls. That was his bugaboo. Let's look at the numbers on Mr. Russell. Jeff Russell on the real season was 5-4 with a 444 earned run average. And he also managed to notch 3 saves. On the replay, he's 2-3 with no saves, a 531 earned run average. 41 hits, 41 innings pitched, 53 hits, 19 walks, 27 strikeouts. And we'll do the numbers on Harris at the end of the inning. Russell is a +1 hold, which makes him a +4. And he's got the task of dealing with Corey Snyder with the bases loaded and 2 outs. clutch situation once again. Snyder in the clutch will lose the hits, 1-9, 1-10. That's a 2-3, and he's going to ground to short, and that will end the inning. But two more come in for Cleveland. They take a 6-1 lead, and now we'll go finish out the pitching line for Greg Harris. It was not a good one. He's definitely in danger of dropping to 4-4. No doubt about that. So go to the box score. Get the official numbers on Mr. Harris. Should be 2 unearned runs. Should be 6 runs and 4 earned. Actually, they're showing 6 runs and 3 earned. So I forgot the other error there. That made it another unearned run. So he probably deserved a better fate if his defense had held out, giving up 3 unearned runs, but the 6 walks hit him in as well. 9 hits and 6 walks. So if you get 9 hits and 6 walks, that's 15 base runners plus 2 errors. That's 17 base runners in 4 2/3 innings. You're not going to do very well if you allow that many base runners. So that's just the way that goes. But the beneficiary of all that is Mr. Phil Niekro. And Niekro has to make it through the 5th inning to qualify for the win. He would improve to 4-9 if he can get a win. But he's got to pitch 5 complete. You have to have that to have an official chance to be the winner. Here's O.B. McDowell, 310 for McDowell. That's a leadoff double. And that's a second double for McDowell. For the Rangers now, they have 4 doubles. They have 5 hits, 4 of them are doubles. They've been double happy in this game. Here's Mike Stanley. Broke out his first chance. Oh, that one over the edge. The white that did. Let's redo that. 210 for Stanley. Grounds it to short. Franco checks McDowell at second and tosses to first for out number 1. Down 6-1. If you're Texas, you're not taking any chances on the base paths. Here's Bouchel. Just missed a ballpark home run his first time up. 1-7 for Bouchel, and this time he strikes out. And Niekro Knuckler got him. 2 down. And that'll send up Jerry Brown, the governor. Clutch situation for Brown, and he only loses the hit on 3-2. That's the only differential. 4-8 switch hitter, and that's a base hit. That's going to score a run. 1-14 is a double. 15-20 is a single, and that's a double, and yet another double. It's amazing with these doubles. Cuts the lead to 6-2. 6 hits for the Rangers. 5 of them have been doubles. They've been having a double fest here. So here's Scott Fletcher. Again, clutch situation. And for Fletcher, he loses a hit on 2-9. That is a 210. 210 is a split. 1's a single. Anything else he lines to Franco. And that'll be a liner to Franco to end the inning. So Niekro he is now the pitcher record for the victory as he went his obligatory 5 innings. But he's going to go some more. His fatigue is next inning. So it just means since he went to 5, he now qualifies as the winning pitcher, assuming Texas never loses the lead. So here's Carmen Castillo. He will lead it off for the Tribe, and Castillo 0 for 3 of all this offense from Cleveland, but he's 0 for 3. 111, make him 0 for 4. He pops it up to Bouchel at third base, 1 away. For Brooke Jacoby, and Jacoby 2 for 3, a single and a home run. 5-6, and that's going to be a strikeout. But now he's facing a different pitcher in Jeff Russell. So Russell seems to be more on his game than Greg Harris was, that's for sure. Here's Tony Bernazard. He's 2 for 2. 5-6, and that's another strikeout. So Jeff Russell keeping the Cleveland Indians at bay, hoping his team can get some runs. We go to the bottom of the 6th. This will be the fatigue inning for Phil Niekro, as he does have that little 6 number right there. And he's dealing with Sierra, O'Brien, and Incaviglia. Those are the scheduled hitters. Sierra 0 for 2. That is a 5-10, and that's a strikeout for Niekro, his 4th. Second time he's gotten Sierra. And that'll bring up Pete O'Brien. Doubled and scored in the second, flew to center in the 4th. 5-2, it's a fly to left, and that's going to be Hall territory, Mel Hall, 3-E-4. 3 and 13 is good. E4, the only errors on E4 are 3, 4, 15, and 18. And he certainly avoids that for out number 2. And that's going to bring up Pete Incaviglia. Incaviglia trying to get something started with 2 outs, maybe a long ball to get a jumpstart the offense a little bit. 1-7, but he will strike out number 5 for Niekro. So that means Niekro has full endurance into the 7th inning. He gives up nothing in his endurance inning. So we go to the top of the 7th. Russell back out. He can go 3 innings in relief. He's got some good length to him. He's only gone an inning and a third so far, so he's certainly capable of maybe not finishing the game, but coming very close to it. He'd probably pitch him up to the 9th inning at least. Here's Bando. 6-11, and that's a ballpark blast. Bando normal power is again 1-11. 1-11. 11's a magic number for everything. And that's right on the 11, and Chris Bando, of all people, hits a home run for Cleveland. For Bando, that's his 3rd home run of the replay. He had 5 real world. He had 5 home runs and 211 at-bats real world. This is home run number 3 and at-bat 137 in the replay. RBI number 20 now. He only had 16 runs batted in real world. He's got 20 right now. And that makes it a 7-2 game. And here is Mel Hall back to the top of the order. 5-4. That's a fly ball center field X. O-B McDowell, 3-E-5. 3 and 13 is good. E5, the only errors for center fielder E5 are 4, 16, 17, and 18. And we roll a 4. Unbelievable. 3rd error of the game on Texas. They're just not, their head's not in the game or something. I don't know. But an E5 center fielder, a 4 is an error right there. 1 base error on McDowell. That's the 3rd Texas error of the game. Bobby Valentine's going to probably want to go back in hiding and get a costume on or something, go incognito, because he may not want to be associated with this team. So that'll bring up Franco. 6-9, and that's a base hit to left field. Let's give it runners at 1st and 2nd. 1 out for Pat Tabler. .310 for Tabler. That's a walk. And boy, this looks like the same old song and dance right here. Is we're getting errors and walks and sloppy play out of the Rangers. Bases loaded now with nobody out, by the way, and Joe Carter, the batter. Infield's looking for the double play. They need outs desperately. Russell really needs a strikeout, is what he needs. 5-9, and that's a fly ball right field fly ball right field C. So it's going to be a shallow fly that's not deep enough to score the run. So that will hold everybody where they are. Now a double play would get them out of the inning if they can get Corey Snyder to ground into said double play. And here is Corey Snyder. That's a 2, so it's a balk or pass ball. We're looking at a pass ball chance on Stanley, which is a 17, and you know that's pretty much automatic. And that is a pass ball, and that will score a run. So more unearned runs coming in for Cleveland. It also takes the double play out of the equation. So now the infield's going to have to come in on the pass ball by Mike Stanley. It's now 8-2. Infield in now. 2-3. It's a ground ball shortstop A. So let's see if the run can score. You would think with the infield in they would not, but I'm going to check the official Strat-O-Matic page just to be on the safe side. Second and third, ground ball A is a 1, batter out, runner holds. So obviously, had the infield been back, that probably would have scored a run, but they had to play in. They really had no choice. Nothing to lose at that point either. So you may as well. So now it's the great Carmen Castillo, who's 0 for 4, and now he's up in a clutch situation again. Again, 3-2 is his place. He loses his hit, but he's 0 for 4 so far. 6-8, and that's going to be a single 1 to an 11. Line out to short, 12 to 20. And that's going to be a line out. So that's the way it is for Castillo in this game. All this offense from Cleveland, but Castillo can't get it done. But fortunately, if you're a Tribe fan, you don't need Castillo because you got this game pretty much in hand, with the score being 8-2. Another unearned run. One run comes in earned and one run comes in unearned, but they all count. So Niekro back out, full endurance into the 7th inning, and he'll be facing Larry Parrish, the DH. Oh, I got to re-roll that because I did not have a virgin dice tray. I had this D20 still in there, and I don't allow that. We're not going to have clutter down here. 6-11 for Niekro. It's a ballpark blast for Larry Parrish. It's a 1 to an 11. And that's a 16. That's the way it's gone for the Rangers. When they need the good rolls on the D20, they don't get them. Fly to left, 1 away, and here comes Odabe McDowell. He's doubled twice, 2 for 2. 3-7, and that's a strikeout for Niekro, his 6th. Niekro, a masterful performance against the lackluster Rangers. I think some of the patrons here at Arlington Stadium have already headed for the exits to beat the traffic. Not that there was much traffic to begin with, but to beat whatever's there. 4-8, and that's a double 1 to 12, single 13 to 20, and it's another double for the Rangers. Really an amazing turn of events. 7th hit, 6 of those 7 hits are doubles. I know I haven't seen anything like that before, to have that many doubles out of your total hits, but it's just the way the dice are going. So here's Steve Buechele in a clutch situation. He will lose a hit, or I'm sorry, he gains a hit 110, and that's it. 6-6, and that's a strikeout. And Scam Likely decided to show up. How about that? I always like it when Scam Likely shows up. So 6-6 is a strikeout with a dot, but he's not tired yet, so the strikeout is good. Strikeout is definitely okay. And that will end the inning, and Niekro will pitch into the 8th inning. How about that? Who would have thought Niekro would give him 7 innings of only 2 runs? Texas won this game real world 10-4, but Cleveland looking to flip the script, as they say. Turn the tables, whatever expression you want to use. And now we go to the top of the 8th. Russell back out. He'll be facing Jacoby, Bernazard, and Bando here in the top of the 8th. Make sure, yeah, looks like we're still in good shape here. All right, so Jacoby. It's a 6-8, and that's a 1 to 11 single. 12 to 20, he lines to short. And that's a base hit for Jacoby. The hit parade continues for the Tribe as they have just come to play. And Texas is also helping them out quite a bit as well. So for Cleveland, that's their 13th hit of the game. And on top of that, they've also received 7 walks and 3 errors. So that's another 10. So it's 23 base runners right there in not even just barely 7 innings. You've had 23 base runners. So you ought to be winning when that's the case. Here's Bernazard. 6-3, and that's a ground ball first base X. They were not holding Jacoby, so O'Brien keeps his 2E12. 2 and a 6, though, is probably going to be a fielder's choice. Actually, it's not even it is going to be a fielder's choice, but there's a pound sign there, but they were not holding him on, so the pound sign's irrelevant. and the error rating is a 12. Last time, I believe we rolled a 9, either might have been a 15, but there was an error by O'Brien last time. Let's see if he can avoid that now. 10 into 10, he's no problem. So it'll be a 3-6 fielder's choice. Bernazard, the new runner at first, but of course, with the score being what it is, they're not going to run anywhere. They're just going to go station to station. For Chris Bando, all of a sudden becoming an offensive threat. Sacrifice fly, home run. Done all kind of little stuff there. That is a 4-10 switch hitter. And look at this, another home run chance. 1-17. Can Chris Bando hit 2 home runs in the same game? He does have normal power. 1-17. 1-17, and he hits another home run. And he does. Chris Bando, his second home run of the game. What in the world's going on with Chris Bando? 2-run shot makes it 10-2 for Bando, his now 4th home run of the replay. And RBI is 21 and 22, so he's got 4 homers and 22 runs batted in, and he only had 5 homers, 16 runs batted in real world. But he's had himself quite a day. 2 more runs for the Tribe, and Russell just out there to take the brunt of this. Here's Hall, 6-7, and that's a walk. Another walk for Russell. That'll bring up Julio Franco. And now Russell is tired per the Strat computer, but he's got to face Franco, tired or not. That's a 5-5, and that's a ground ball to second. That'll get Hall to second base, but now they're 2 away. So they want to get Russell through the inning. And that'll bring up Pat Tabler. Still by rule, a clutch situation with a runner at second. 3-11, and that's a ballpark single, which again is a 1-11. 13, though, he will line it to short, and the inning is over, and that'll do it for Russell. So 2 more runs come in. Russell will go 2 1/3 innings. Actually, 3 1/3 innings, right? Yeah, 3 1/3, not bad. 3 1/3 innings. So he'll need a couple of days off after this to rest up after that kind of performance. And now, bottom of the 8th we go, and Niekro is going to stick with it. Why not? He's got a 10-2 lead to work with, so they can give him a lot of leeway. Maybe he can pitch a complete game. You never know. Here's Jerry Brown, the governor. 6-5, and that's a line out to Franco, 1 away. 1 down for Scott Fletcher. 1-7 for Fletcher. He's going to ground it to Franco. So Franco taking care of the first 2 outs pretty easily. Up now is Ruben Sierra. That's a 6-6, and that's going to be a ground ball shortstop X. So Franco this time has to go to the X chart to take care of business. 2E26. 2-12 is good. E26 for a shortstop. He's got to avoid 12, 17, and 18. So that's not as bad as I thought. 12, 17, and 18, which he does. So good play for Franco. He pretty much takes care of the whole thing. And Niekro will pitch into the 9th. Going for that complete game, no question about it. Now Texas has to figure out who's going to draw the short straw to pitch here in the 9th. And we'll look at the numbers on Russell. We'll go to the box score, get his final numbers for his outing. 3 1/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 of which were earned, a walk and 2 strikeouts. And now we go to the Texas bullpen and see who gets the short straw. Basically, it's going to be whoever is the most rested. Well, actually, we're going to go to Keith Creel. Why not? This is a good time to do it. So Keith Creel. Don't know anything about Keith Creel. He's in there. Keith Creel. Let's look at his numbers here. He's got a hold of 0. Not that really matters. So it's +3. He has no balk or wild pitch rating. Keith Creel, 0-0 with a 4.66 ERA real world. And let me try this and see if I can make this work. I'm going to give it a go. See if I can get it to work. Just one moment. Okay. So I don't know how this is going to look on the stream here. Let me check it out. I took a screenshot of Keith Creel. Let's turn this off real quick. This is the Keith Creel card off the Strat computer. So when we roll for him, if he comes up with a pitcher result, I will go to this. I'll go to my phone. It's the only way I know to do it, because I'm not going to waste paper to print out a guy that pitched for 10 innings that I'll probably never use, again after this. So if I can get by with, doing something else, that's what I'll do. So Keith Creel is on the mound, and he's facing Joe Carter. So it's just a matter of whether we roll 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5, 6. And of course, we're going to roll 4, 5, 6 like 5 times. It's make me having to go use the phone and can't keep it easy and just keep it on the batter cards. Of course, I already said it was going to happen. So 5-7 for Keith Creel. A 5-7 on Keith Creel is going to be a double to right field. You can see that right there. A 5-7 is a double to right field for Joe Carter. So Keith Creel gives up a leadoff double to Carter. That's going to bring up bring up Corey Snyder. And again, we're off the pitcher card. 6-8. 6-8. Now I got to figure out how to decipher this one, because 6-8 says home run 2, double everything else. I'm assuming that means 1 to 2 is a home run, anything else is a double. I'm assuming that's what the computer number means there when it's got HR2D. So I think that's what it means there. Home run 1 to 2. That's why I'm going to play it anyway. Home run 1 to 2, double 3 to 20. And that's a double for Corey Snyder. So hopefully that was correct. But you knew it was the first 2 at bats were going to come off the pitcher card to make me have to go do all this. You just knew it was going to happen, right? All right, so it's 11-2. At least we don't have a 17-inning game. No threat of that right now. That's for sure. Now, can Carmen Castillo, he's 0 for 5. This is the resistible force meeting the very movable object. 0 for 5, Carmen Castillo against a crappy pitcher, Keith Creel. Somebody's got to lose on this one. And again, we're on the pitcher card, 6-6. And it's going to be a base on balls. 6-6 is a walk. So Carmen Castillo draws the walk for Brooke Jacoby. We've got to eventually get a batter card result at some point. Can't keep rolling 4, 5, or 6s on the white guy. Finally, off the batter card, 3-8. And it's a ground ball shortstop A for Giovanni's Tailor Shop, tailor-made double play. 3-8 is a ground ball shortstop A. So we get a 6-4-3 double play for Creel. That'll get him 2 quick outs. It will move Castillo to third base. But now there's 2 away for Tony Bernazard. And let's see about Cleveland here. And just for the heck of it, they're going to give Bernazard a break and let Junior Noboa have an at bat. I mean, why not? You got such a big lead, you can afford it. So Junior Noboa will pinch hit for Bernazard here in the 9th. Junior Noboa. Clutch situation for Noboa, and he does lose a hit on a 110 and a 310. So let me go to the Strat computer and get that in place. So back-to-back doubles is how the inning started. And then a walk to Castillo, and then the ground ball double play, and then we can bring in Noboa to bat for Bernazard. And we'll get the numbers on Noboa. Junior Noboa. Actually, yeah, there it is right there. Junior Noboa. So on the real season, Noboa, 225 hitter and 80 at bats with no home runs. On the replay, he's had 11 at bats. He's hitting 364 in those 11 at bats. Go figure. Just the way it is. And again, we're on the pitcher card. So 5-6, but a 5-6 this time around for Keith Creel. A 5-6 is going to be a line out to first base. So he's going to line it out to the first baseman, O'Brien, to end the inning. So Creel will go 1 inning, give up 2 hits, a walk, no strikeouts. But I think that was better than using a nameless player. I could have used a nameless player, but I'd rather have the actual guy's performance myself. Just my druthers on that one. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. Niekro going for that complete game if he can get it. 11 runs, 16 hits for the Tribe. 2 runs, 7 hits, and 3 errors for Texas. Obviously, Harris will be the loser. He'll drop to 4-4. Niekro will go to 4-9. Question is, can Niekro get the complete game? Got to face O'Brien. Actually, I would love to see Strat. I'm hoping they'll do it because they did it with the football set they just released. But it would be wonderful. I'm not asking them to put a season out in PDF. Just put the nameless, the guys not carded as PDF. Give me those. Put them in PDF. The ones that don't come with the extra players or the regular players. Take that other subset, put them as a PDF. If you want to charge $5 for it, fine. But at least give us the option to be able to download those in a PDF. That's all we're asking. Maybe we're asking too much. I don't know. 3-4. Ground ball to first, and Mr. Tabler will take care of Mr. O'Brien with 1 away. So 1 down, 2 outs away from a complete game for Mr. Phil Niekro. He's got to deal with Incaviglia. There's a 4-6, and that's a fly ball. I'm sorry, 4-6. So that's a strikeout. There's a dot there, but he's not tired yet. The computer says he's not tired, so I'm going to follow along with that and say that strikeout is good. Last chance for the Rangers, Larry Parrish. 6-6, and that's another strikeout for Niekro to end the ball game. He finishes with 9 strikeouts for a complete game victory for Phil Niekro. There is your line score. So Niekro finishes in style. We will go to the box score. I mean, this game doesn't affect the playoff or the pennant race by any means, but very unusual that Texas would fall apart that much. So it could have been a lot worse. Cleveland left 15 runners on base. Texas only left 4. So you count 16 hits, 8 walks, and 3 errors. What is that, 27 base runners? They left 15 of them on base. 1 was erased on a double play, I think. Yeah, 1 was erased on a double play, but the other ones were left on base. 15 base runners left on base. Player of the game's got to be Phil Niekro. Although, boy, I'd love to give maybe they'll give it to the Battery, because Chris Bando had the game of his life as well, as he went 2 for 3 with 2 home runs and 5 runs batted in. You're not going to see Chris Bando do that anymore. So Niekro, 9 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 runs. They were earned. Walks 1, strikes out 9. There you go. That game is in the books now. Tomorrow, we'll be in Anaheim for the Detroit Tigers taking on the California Angels. Pitching matchup in that one is going to be Dan Petrie for the Tigers against Jack Lazorko of the Angels. But later tonight, either this afternoon or tonight, I haven't decided which, we're going to have the 7th game of this date. We're going to play it in a primetime situation, and that is Boston at Seattle. It'll be Oil Can Boyd against Mark Langston. That will be tonight. Not sure what time, but just whenever I can get on there. But they'll be playing tonight, and then tomorrow we will have Detroit and California. Also tomorrow we'll have the first 3 rounds actually of the Wyndham Classic on History Maker Golf, the final tournament for the playoff start. That'll be tomorrow at some point, don't know when. And then Saturday, NBC Game of the Week comes up. It'll be 1979 Inside Pitch, and it will be the Royals visiting the Yankees. That'll be on Saturday. Sunday, I'm not sure yet. Not sure what I'm going to do. I may hold off the Boston-Seattle game until Sunday. I may put that out on Sunday. I'm not sure. Don't know yet. Since I'm not doing the Strat-O-Matic Basic Sunday and I'm not doing the Rockies anymore, that frees up a lot of room to do other things. So I got to reestablish a schedule here. And of course, with football coming on, I'm not going to be home on Friday nights because it's going to be Friday Night Lights. And that starts this Friday, starts tomorrow. And so that's going to affect my Friday night schedule for the next like 10, 11 weeks or whatever it is. And we'll see what happens there. But the 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. time frame every morning is not going to change for the 1987 replay. So there you have it. Cleveland with the complete game victory, 11-2. Hey, Michael. Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the. The one I'm doing now is kind of like a practice to get ready for next season, because next season is when I want to start the PGA Tour from the get-go in January and keep on the same schedule that the PGA keeps. This year, of course, I was way behind because I started real late because I didn't get the game till late. So when the 26 cards come out by Play.com, I want to have those all ready to go. So in January, I can start with the Hawaii, in Hawaii, playing the Hawaii Sony Open or whatever that first tournament is, and get my scoring all down. So looking forward to that. Great game, History Maker Golf, no question about it. Like I said, I don't know when my golf is going to be. It could be tonight, could be this afternoon, could be whenever. It would be the first 3 rounds where we do the cut and then do the positioning for the top 12. A lot of guys are in this tournament coming up that have not played most of the year. I mean, a lot of really bad rated guys, I guess in real world, they were playing to try to make that playoff. But it's a lot of guys that I haven't noticed before. A lot of the big names are not playing because they're already secure in their spot. But we'll see what happens. So that's going to do it from here. Cleveland didn't give us a close game, but at least it kept us from going 17 innings again. That was nice not to do that. Jeremiah, I'm with you about, I don't know about grossly overpaying, but I would certainly pay more than a fair price. And let's be realistic. It doesn't cost Strat-O-Matic very much to make a PDF. I mean, I guess the only thing, but really, I mean, even if somebody was unethical and shared the extra players with somebody else, would that really hurt Strat-O-Matic's cause? I mean, there's such few players. I mean, you can't play the season with just extra players. So it's not like, they're giving away the farm here, but that's probably beating a dead horse to death. But yeah, PDF, that, like I said, they did it for the football. So I'd love to see them do it for the baseball, the extra players. That would be, I wouldn't say a game changer, but it would certainly encourage me to buy the 26th season. Right now, I have no interest in modern baseball. I got the Rockies replay was fun. Don't get me wrong, but the modern baseball rules were starting to get to me there at the end, especially I had a couple extra inning games with the ghost runners, and it really just rubbed me the wrong way. I played it out the way it was, but anyway, um, I agree midlife, but they're not going to. Strat's not going to print every single player. They're just not going to do that. That's something I don't. And now Scam Likely is calling again. How about that? Want to write down that phone number when it comes up again and give them a call? There it is, 630-2247. Give them a call. Give them a call. Bug the crap out of them. They sure do it to me. All right. So anyway, we could have a whole. Maybe I need to do a chat. I mean, everybody else is doing these chats that seem to be, very very popular. But that's just not my thing. But boy, maybe I should have ID on here and do another Strat rant or something like that. I don't know. It might make for entertaining uh, viewing. I don't know. But my big thing is not doing chats, but playing the games. So I'll leave chats and walks and everything else to other people, and I'll just play the games. All right, so that's gonna do it from here. Hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday, and until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and we'll see you all down the road.